Continuation of Learning, Session 5C. Lewin's field theory is another theory for the learning process. This is a theory of motivation and perception, where learning involves 4 different types of changes. You'll have your cognitive structure that will be changing, your thinking processes, in other words, your motivation, your inner self will be motivated to continue to learn different things. Your sense of belonging to a group, such as now that you've gotten some of the nursing terminology down, you really want to belong to a group of nurses that speak that terminology, and then gain involuntary muscle control, where that means that you're thinking about what you're about to say or do before it's done. To go through these changes is 3 basic stages. Number 1, you'll unfreeze your old habits. You'll begin to develop new habits. You'll move into the second stage called moving, where you'll embrace new habits and new theories and new concepts and be able to use them differently. And then you'll refreeze that to make them a part of you. So those are the 3 basic stages. Then Gagné has another process of learning, and there are 8 stages in the Gagné information processing theory. And there's a signal or a cue that really begins. It's followed by a stimulus and a response. You see the good that can come about, so therefore you continue that, just like Skinner had to say. And then chaining, you begin to build on one response after the other. There's a verbal association that takes place and multiple discrimination, so we'll be able to understand what's right and wrong. And then concept formation, you will develop principles formation, as well as your problem solving skills will come about. And then one that you've probably heard of is called Bloom's taxonomy, Bloom's domain of learning. There are 3: the cognitive, the thinking, the affective, your behavior, and then the psychomotor is your skills. And these domains will be broken down in further categories as you go along. However, when you're beginning to develop a learning teaching project, these particular domains should be used. So when you think about the learning process, you think about the humanism of it all. That is, the feelings and the attitudes that are developed when you're learning about a new procedure. The holistic, therefore, is the philosophy of care. The total philosophy of care comes about. There are prominent members that have really helped us along this way, and you know of Maslow and Carl Rogers. Both think about the human. They really do respect the human because they realize that the environment plays a major role, as well as, therefore you have to really accept that, as well as one's character and personality. So learning focuses on self-development and achieving one's full potential. And then Jerome Bruner talks about people's interpretation of information in terms of similarities and their differences, detected and arrange the information in related categories. So they begin to want to categorize certain learning, such as we do. We categorize diseases, we categorize lab data, and we categorize the treatment. So we do the same thing, and it helps us to be able to understand basically how we can give holistic care. So there's a formation of a coding system where it transfers information, enhances retention, and therefore problem solving. And then constructionism, where John Dewey and Bruner sort of come together here, and they change is meaning constructed from your experience. You begin to construct these meanings in a different way. Knowledge becomes an individual's interpretation of the experience, and learning is a construction of the new interpretation. And then, of course, you've heard about multiple intelligence, or one's IQ. We used to always say you can only learn based on your IQ. Well, Howard Gardner talks about intelligence has multiple dimensions. There's the linguistic, the musical and the rhythmic, the logical and the mathematical, the spatial, the bodics, kinetics, movement, personal, symbols, and the naturalist. And as a teacher, you really have to understand each of those, because you really never know what of these qualities will be affected in your classroom. And it will be the same thing when you're talking to patients. So multiple intelligence theory is also one that is used from time to time. So how do you apply these theories? In behaviorist, identification of what is to be taught and the immediate identification of and reward for the correct response. Cognitive, recognition of development levels of learning and learners' motivation and the environment. And then focus on one's feelings and attitudes, the importance of identifying needs and responsibilities, and of course,